Hello friends. It's a nice day out, so I figured I'd do this video outside, but this is a thing that's been bothering me for quite a while, and I haven't really been able to put words to it, so I figured I'd make a presentation on why I think computer science degrees are too easy, and they're almost borderline a waste of time in today's age. I noticed that a lot of people liked my videos on college math, so I'm assuming it's a lot of high schoolers watching this. I don't know. But I guess this is more sort of a warning to you if you want to get into computer science. So, why am I making this? Computer science is about to surpass all humanities degrees in terms of total degrees awarded, and I think that's crazy. So, gender studies, psychology, philosophy, all of them, computer science is about to surpass that, and I think that's at least worth talking about. And then there's this article I read called The Perils of Java Schools that I found very insightful, and also my GPA is higher than I think it should be, and because I don't feel like I'm that smart, so why is this? So just, I guess, some ethos. I go to a North Carolina State University, which is ranked 50th in the country in computer science. I mean, it's U.S. news. It's a completely arbitrary ranking. That's a whole other triad I could go on. But I think they have done a decent job in teaching me computer science here. And sort of important, but our computer science program is in the College of Engineering, which is sort of unique compared to other schools. Usually computer science is in the College of Sciences. So when UNC, University of North Carolina, needs to do engineering stuff, they do it here because UNC doesn't have their own engineering program. So that might be worth taking into consideration, that our computer science is done from an engineering perspective. Okay, so first thing up is Java. You've already heard me complain about Java before, but now I'm going to complain about it from an academic standpoint. There's a lot of closed-mindedness surrounding the actual implementation languages that they teach us. So all of our foundations are built upon Java. If you've read The Perils of Java Schools, you can see why that might be a bad thing. It's almost treated like basic, but we stick with Java. We never move on to more advanced programming languages. And even then, we don't really learn advanced stuff in Java. Like, if I see a recent graduate that's put, I'm experienced in Java, I'm going to be skeptical that you know about, like, lambda expressions and things like that. It's really the only language in a lot of places' core curriculum, and that inspires blub programming, which is an interesting concept. It's essentially you learn Java, and Java is all you know. Java is your language. That's the language you think in when you think of programming. And you look at languages that are beneath you, which there's not many, but I guess we could say, Python, and you can think like, think of all the things Java has over Python, like it's more explicit with its type systems and whatnot, and that's so much better. But any languages that are better in Java, to a blub programmer, you look up and you think, these are just sort of weird things that I guess you could probably do in Java, but in a different way, which does have merit because it is, Turing complete, but you don't see people computing in Turing machines anymore. So I guess sort of the biggest problem here is variation. Now my school, I think because it's part of the engineering program, I looked at UNC's curricula as well, which does have their computer science and College of Sciences, and I don't know, it's kind of weird, kind of very vague course descriptions on their website. Maybe they should update that. But my school forces you to learn C as well as Java. Like that's to graduate, you need to take CSC 230, C and software tools, including how to program using C in an object-oriented style, which I'm not saying object-oriented programming is bad in this video. I think knowing that is actually important, and you should learn this because that's sort of what's relevant in computer science, and knowing it is good. And a lot of things, even in like the Linux kernel, is using this object-oriented C style. My OS class is taught in C and Java, which is good. You're taught in multiple languages. Though I heard it was only my professor who did that. Shout out Davis Sturgill. Assembly is completely optional, which I sort of get. I threw that on there because it's offered, but you don't need to take it, but I think you should take it because that gives you just another perspective of programming. And array and functional imperatives are just never touched at all. So at least in the core curricula, I'm sure there might be, like there's one class called Theory of Programming Languages that might touch on this, but we never learn any functional languages like Lisp. I know Lisp is old, but we never learn Lisp, we never learn Haskell, we never learn OCaml. And then just sort of different ways at looking at programming, like APL, which is a very, it's a very different language. It's not super useful, but thinking about programming as just where your core data type is a 2D array, that's got to be it's got to be useful in making you a better programmer. Maybe you don't use that ever, but it's just that now you can think in that sort of fashion. Now, in terms of actually programming, the coding you're not going to do is not all that difficult, which I have sort of a problem with. The hardest things you'll be required to write are RB trees, recursive sorting algorithms, and radix sort, all in the same class and all written in Java, by the way. Data structures and algorithms, I think, is the best class I've taken so far, just because I think it's the quintessential computer science class. I think everything in there is great. And you know what, even if it's taught in Java, it's, I don't know, it's alright. I think data structures and algorithms is the best class I've been taught though. Second reason why I think computer science degrees are too easy is because of the math. And I got this little Bart Simpson bit in here. Math, why learn math when we have calculators? I think there's actually some truth to what he has to say there. But I'm not saying it should be easier. I'm saying proofs. There's not that much focus on proof-based mathematics. And I don't mean like symbol pushing algebra, because again, we have linear algebra libraries. You don't need to implement finding the determinant of a matrix because someone made a library that does that. Okay, now you should know what these things are, but actually needing to implement them, you don't really need to do. So maybe it's good practice, but they're not 100% necessary. So why do we need math? Well, it's for abstraction of problems and bijections. People always joke about, why did I need discrete math? It's because, at least from a very high level perspective, it's that discrete math is sort of a way of generalizing computer science into a more mathematical kind of field. So these are skills that I think would help you write programs. So like lambda calculus, I told you that we don't really learn functional programming anymore, but lambda calculus is functional programming. Number theory, I can't tell you much about that. I know that RSA is heavily based on number theory and prime numbers. I'm taking that next semester. Combinatorics, I'm taking that now, actually extremely helpful with computer science. Because it's for like big numbers, and also, proofs. Here's a proof. I had to prove this combinatorically. Pascal's identity. This is, Pascal's triangle. This is how you build Pascal's triangle. And if you break down the choose function into, n factorial over n minus r factorial, then this is pretty obvious. You can just sort of, push the symbols around and you'll get this identity. But if we look at this from a combinatorial perspective, where we can say, n plus 1 choose r is n choose r plus n choose r minus 1. Let's consider these two choose functions that we're adding together. Let's consider these as their own disjoint sets of something that we're counting. And if you can think of things in that manner, if you can change problems around like this to think of it in within the confines of certain mathematical axioms, then I think you would also be better at breaking down certain real life problems into coding axioms or functions that So yeah, I think we need more math in computer science. And now here's a couple meta issues. These are just sort of issues with computer science majors in general. I think software engineering as a sort of discipline is the thing that has emerged that I don't really think you need a computer science degree for. So these are things like site reliability engineering. I heard the term sales engineering earlier, web design, front-end development, sort of, product management, sort of. These are all things where I think if you've taken a 10-month boot camp and have some management experience, you will do just fine in these fields. I mean, this is essentially the computer equivalent of having a trade degree, Learn how to, it's like learning how to weld in 10 months, learn how to program in Python in 10 months. It's honestly pretty much the same thing. These are what I assume most CS majors actually want to do, especially when you're like in high school and you're like, oh, I want to code to make money. You can just take a 10-month boot camp and get entry level somewhere in. Well, it's hard to get an entry level position now, but that's besides the point. You can work in JavaScript front-end development stuff after 10 months, if you have just this minimal basis in programming. I think actual CS majors, we should be doing, more complex stuff like, this AI machine learning trend that's going on. I think that's where computer science majors are actually, needed. Like the stuff you learn there, even beyond that, is what's actually, needed. Not just, some skills in Python. This is another one. This is very tangential to core point, but humanity major hate is unwarranted, and a lot of GEP classes, I feel that really most engineering students in general just sort of gloss over because they're easy and bullshit and whatever. But this is how you end up with the Lockheed Martin jokes, where people just throw ethics out the window the second they get a $80,000 a year offer from Lockheed. And I think that joke actually has a lot of grounds to it because, you have people who go to school, they don't pay attention in their ethics class, they don't pay attention in their philosophy classes, and then they don't know how to deal with, complex ethical dilemmas. Like, is it okay to, write code that directs a missile? Is it? You certainly learn the ability, you learn how to program a missile, but is writing this code actually a good thing? Another thing too is college education should mean that you are a good writer. I think this is absolutely necessary. I think if you have a college degree, you should be able to write an articulate paper on anything. Okay? I only say this because I've had to do a lot more peer reviews now for a certain ethics class, computer ethics, and I'm getting a lot of very poorly thought out arguments and a lot of very poorly written things. Poorly written like debate briefs, poorly written case studies, whatever. And that is completely unacceptable. I'm sorry. If you're a junior in college like me, you should not have run-on sentences. You should not have comma splices. That is completely unacceptable. Completely. Sorry, I got a booger. But I think this is this sort of disregard of humanities courses are why any tech giant of choice, the NSA, Microsoft, that's why I think they spy on you, and why there's only really been one person who's raised huge complaints about this in the past 20 years. is because we just don't worry about, ethical issues, what is right, what is wrong, what makes a person a good person, etc. So I would almost argue that these are just important as your technical courses in getting a computer science degree. Sort of a meta example, but you see this math problem here. Computer science majors, engineering majors who are very closed-minded and only focus on, what they have learned will argue to death over whether or not PEMDAS, should be applied here. Oh, parentheses, multiplication, you should distribute the 2 into the 1 plus 2 first. That's completely irrelevant. I think if a true, the kind of person that I think should have a computer science degree or college degree in general, from an engineering degree, is the person who can look at this and say, well, I haven't seen the division symbol, the little line 2 dot symbol. I haven't seen that since 8th grade. Why haven't I seen that since 8th grade? And then you can say, oh, well, it introduces a bit of ambiguity here. Am I dividing 6 by the whole quantity, or am I only dividing 6 by 2 and then multiplying that by the quantity? That is, a bit vague there. It can mean either thing. So really the correct answer to this is that there is no correct answer. It's just based on how you interpret that division symbol, and that's why we introduce more explicit division symbols. And I really only think once you can, come to conclusions like that on your own is when, I can trust you to actually make important programming decisions, things that I think would warrant awarding someone a CS major. I know not just solving this problem, but, having that sort of deeper perspective, deeper understanding of issues like that. So in conclusion, take all aspects of computer science seriously, even things that people don't care about, things that people don't talk about anymore, things that don't seem relevant to curricula like ethics or philosophy or even English. Get a math minor. Computer science should be just a romanticized math degree, but with more emphasis on computers. Even now you see computer or math majors who they learn R and things like that for doing real analysis and stuff you can't do just by hand. So I think if you really want to stand out, you need to have a solid foundation in mathematics and learn stuff you don't have to. If I was only learning stuff that I had to, I would be great at Java and C. I'd be mediocre, honestly, at Java and C, But, I go and teach myself other things. Not saying I'm a great example of a computer science student, but go and learn other things that you think might be relevant, or just things that seem fun that, now you can understand having some sort of basis in computer science. Yeah, that's about it. Honestly, I feel like I've said about everything that I want to say. Have a nice day.